this. I've been looking forward to talking to my man, Matt Verderame, because he is a Kansas City fan. I got to ask him about this as we step into the redrecover.com huddle here. All right, Matt. So I'm wondering, is there any Jeffrey Loria in that ownership group right now? Because I'm wondering, you traded for Orlando here. You got to pay for the guy.
Sure.
First of all, I got to say it was moronic that you didn't agree to a deal on the day you traded for him. That's what you should have done. But now he's got you by the Laramie Tunsil balls because the Texans did the same dumbass thing. And he wants to get paid. And he wants to get paid like a left tackle, but you want to pay him like a right tackle now. And you paid your quarterback $50 million, dude. This is the guy you got to pay. And so are you being cheap, or did they screw up and pay too many people on defense? And now they're putting themselves in this position right now, because I have a hard time believing you're not going to pay a guy to protect your $50 million quarterback after you watched him get buried like a plant 2 years ago in the Super Bowl without a line. So I'm just wondering what the hell is going on with this situation, because for that franchise, it's kind of baffling to me that they're a little bit unorganized in all of this right now, because that's not normal of Kansas City and not normal of Andy Reid.
So I did reporting on this last night, and I talked to a lot of people around the situation and around the league. And so my understanding is essentially, look, my reporting was Orlando Brown is looking for upwards of $25 million a year. Trent Williams right now makes $23 million a year. He is the benchmark at tackle. Orlando Brown is a very good player. He is a 3-time Pro Bowler. He is 26 years old. He made the Pro Bowl last year in KC. He certainly has every right to go out and ask for whatever he thinks he can get. However, I think, my understanding is the Chiefs feel like $25 million is just a hill that's too high. They're not going to go to that far. Now, is there a bridge to be gapped? Look, Mike Rothlo put out on NFL Network that they were looking at top right tackle money. I've been saying here and other places, I think he's worth about $21 million, maybe $22 a year. That seems to be about where the Chiefs have him as well. It's a gap. It's considerable, but is it bridgeable before Friday afternoon? If not, one thing I do understand is because of the Tyreek Hill trade, the Chiefs have a lot of financial flexibility moving forward. I would not be surprised if we're back in this spot again next year with Orlando Brown, where the Chiefs just say, fine, I'll tag you again. Because keep this in mind. If they sign him, let's just say they gave in to his demands, okay? And it's 5 and it's 125. By next year, that cap, it's going to be about $25 million. Maybe it's a little, give or take a couple million either way. If the Chiefs tag him next year, it's for 19 and change. So they're almost behooved financially to just say, fine, we're not going to give it to you. We'll go year to year on this thing.
But that's a hard number, as you know, because they can at least move it around a little bit and push some of the money back and have a little more flexible number in the early part of the years if they want. This becomes like if they sign him to a new deal, his first year number won't even be $10 million.
Is low, right? It'll be like $8 million. Right. Agreed. But here's the thing: so if they sign him today, then yes, he would play for $8 million or so this year. But next year, the cap number would go up more toward what the actual annual value of the contract is. If they wait and they tag him next year and then they figure it out, that contract hit is low next year. My understanding is they're not afraid to tag him next season, knowing that they can still be players in free agency. Now, look, how that plays out, it's impossible to say. There's a lot that can happen between now and the end of this upcoming season. But I think the stalemate's born out of both sides feeling they have leverage. Kansas City feels like because of the Tyreek Hill trade, they have a lot of financial flexibility. And if you're Orlando Brown, you're saying exactly what you said, which is, look, you're feeling like, hey, you traded a first-round pick for me, and I protect Patrick Mahomes. And I'm with you. I was surprised, and I wrote this at the time. I was surprised that they did not extend him when they acquired him. But
that's catastrophically stupid what they did there. Because
I was surprised.
By the way, you would have signed them for less money at that moment.
You would have, and I think the concern was he's coming from a system that is very unorthodox in Baltimore. We want to make sure that he works in a very pass-heavy system in Kansas City.
Kind of run heavy, exactly.
And it turns out he does work. He played very well for them. I will say this. They love him. they want to keep him. This is not a thing where like they really didn't feel he played that well or he doesn't fit in internally. They love him. They want him there. I think eventually we might look at a road where he's just tagged again next year and they do this dance. And then next year the rubber kind of hits the road because you can't tag him a third time. But for now, they're far apart. We'll see if they can bridge it. They could have signed him, like you said. They wanted to see if he could play in the system. He did that. We'll see how things go. But I expect that Brown will be there this year, and I think there's a decent chance he's there moving forward, even if it gets a little ugly before that.
Let me tell you something also, because a lot of people say, well, they traded a first rounder for him, so they also got back a second and a sixth.
They did. They basically gave up like the 50th.
So it's not like the Houston deal in the sense that that like Laramie Tunsil, you traded the world for him, and Tunsil and his agent knew it, and it's like there's no way you're trading all the 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, and you're not going to pay me. Yeah, you're going to pay me whatever the hell I want to pay. Right. And you're gonna say, thank you, sir. Would you like even more money, Laramie, after that? You know what I mean? So what did they get for that second or sixth in the draft, by the way? Who was it?
It actually, I wrote about this last year. It actually worked out in a funny way. So they got Nick Bolton, who ended up being a pretty damn good linebacker. But also, so here's the funny rub on this. Last year in the second round, when they got down there, the Chiefs had 2 second rounders. They had Baltimore's and they had their own. The first one they used, which was Baltimore's, they used on Nick Bolton. But to my understanding, from talking to a few different sources on this, if Baltimore had that second round pick, they really liked Creed Humphrey, who the Chiefs ended up taking with their own second round pick a few picks later. So if the Chiefs don't trade for Orlando Brown, there's a good chance they don't have him, Bolton, or Creed Humphrey right now.
Wow.
I mean, so it worked out. But now they've got to figure out how to acquire Brown's services long term. Look, again, you know how things are. Things can change. Browns camp can come to them tomorrow and say, you know what? We don't want to sit on a tag. We'll take $23 million a year. The Chiefs bump it up a little. You meet at 22.5 and everybody goes home happy. Right. But it could also play out where Brown doesn't show up till week 1 of the season. And then you're back doing this dance come late February. Yep. It's just hard to say right now, but that's where they stand.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let's go to the bullshit department. Are you ready to step into the we're stepping out of the huddle and we're going to step into the bullshit department. Are you ready?
It's where I'm comfortable.
Okay. Baker Mayfield, when asked if there's any animosity towards Cleveland, no animosity towards Cleveland. It's a good football team, and they gave me my first 4 years of my career.
We're deep in the bullshit department.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's what is it that the old Maury show thing?
Who the hell doesn't want to stick it to their former employer, dude?
Of course. And look, that's the old Maury. You know, we've determined this was a lie, right? I mean, come on now. Look, they play each other in an incredible twist of irony. Week 1.
Love it. Yes.
You don't think Baker is going to try to throw for 500 yards in that game, even more so than of course he's. And by the way, he should. He's human.
Yes.
He's human.
Yes.
If decided.
And by the way, after the game, he should grab his nuts too, like he did in Oklahoma also. You know what I mean? If he throws for 500 yards, wins the game, he should then grab his nuts and wave it at Cleveland too on top of all that. No animosity. Get the hell out of here.
If you're a human being, of course it matters more. Of course it does. Look, Cleveland
you played all left up with your shoulder. You gave your body beaten up. And then they told you, get out of here, and you're not going to have animosity.
And on the way out the door, said, through a leak anyway, we want to bring in a quarterback who's a leader, and brought in Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. Like, you couldn't slap somebody in the face harder than Cleveland did on the way. And look, I'm not saying Baker's a saint in terms of, his maturity level and everything else. Fine. The way the Browns handled that, the entire thing, was a crap show. And now he's in Carolina. Of course he wants to go out and kill the Browns week 1. Of course he does. Look, anybody with any pride, I would be concerned if I was Carolina if he was like, nah, it's just a game. I'd be like, geez, he doesn't really care at all, right? Like,
let me tell you something. As much as Baker's probably disliked by a bunch of people, I think most of America will be rooting for Baker and the Carolina Panthers because
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to root for Cleveland because of the Deshaun Watson situation. And if Deshaun is on the field, oh my God, I don't think some Browns fans want to root for the Browns because of Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
So Baker Mayfield will never have more fans than he's ever had than he does in week 1 for the Carolina Panthers. By the way, if he's starting, okay, because that's the other thing. He goes, well, I got to put my team in the position where who's to say Sam Darnold does? I don't think that's going to happen. I think Baker's going to get the call.
Hold on. Are we still in the bullshit department? Right. I have as good of a shot at starting as Sam Darnold does. Right. This idea that, like, well, Sam's looked good in OTAs. They just saw him for a whole year.
Yeah.
He went 5-12. They finished 2-12. He got benched for PJ Walker. They are not starting Sam Darnold unless Baker Mayfield gets hurt or falls off the face of the earth.
No.
That's it. Mayfield will start. And look, let's call it what it is, too. This is an enormous year for Carolina in terms of if they stink again, there might be a house cleaning. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There's also a lot at stake, obviously, for Baker, who's hitting free agency after this year. If he goes out and plays well, he throws for 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns and 8 picks. He's either going to get tagged for a fortune by Carolina, or he's going to go to the market at 27 years old and he's going to get paid.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, you know this as well as I do. He's a 27-year-old quarterback who's a number 1 overall pick. If he goes out and has a really good year, he's going to get paid. Yeah. Some team is going to go, hey, Baker, how's 4 and 150 sound? I mean, that's going to – Ryan Tannehill got paid after being good for a half of a season. Like, guys get paid in the NFL at that position if they're anything close to decent. It happens every year.
Hell, Matt Flynn played a game and a half for the Packers,
right?
And got a boatload of money.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Look at Kevin Cobb. Remember Kevin Cobb?
Yeah, man.
Right?
Remember that?
He got paid. Look in this league, the quarterback is everything. Yeah. And if you show a whiff of potential, I mean, hell, now he ended up, to be fair, had some good years. Look at Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub is a guy who barely played at all in Atlanta, and Houston gave him a ton. Now, he had some good years. He ended up falling off. But, you look at the quarterbacks around the league. Look, there are plenty of teams that need quarterbacks every year. Carson Wentz, year after year after year after year, goes and gets paid, and he gets traded for first and second round picks. And, I mean, that's why I've talked a little bit in my column lately about Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones goes out and plays well this year with the Giants, who have weapons, by the way, if he goes and plays well, he will get paid. Oh, yeah. Some team will pay, whether it's the Giants or elsewhere, he will get paid. That's the way this league works at that position.
Yeah, definitely. And hell, with Daniel Jones at least, there's actually like real athleticism for his size.
There is.
You know what I mean? Like Baker doesn't have athleticism at all. He's just not that.
No, he's not going to run. He's not going to extend plays. Right?
No, yeah, he's not. He's not. And so you look at a guy like Daniel Jones, if he somehow puts it together, oh, yeah, there's no doubt somebody will go, oh, my God, yeah, no, he's the guy. We can make him even better, this and that. Yeah, there's no doubt. All right, one more thing before I let you go. Is Tyreek Hill learning about our business? Because, he in the latest one of his podcast, he was talking about how, hey, this is stuff that we all talk about. Hey, Tua, obviously going into a really important year, and he was talking about in general how, man, they only give you 2 or 3 years. And for Tua, it's like he's going in on a final year that he's got to prove himself. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you heard the comments.
Yeah.
Smart move on his part, not the right move on his part. Is he helping or hurting his teammate in that case?
I wrote about this in Stack the Box on Monday. And I think he's well-intentioned. I also think if I was Tua, I would text him and be like, bro, please stop. I mean, at some point, look, Tyreek's not saying anything wrong from a Dolphins perspective in the sense he's pumping his guy up, and that's fine, okay? We've talked about this just about every week, and I've said a few times, I think comparing him to Mahomes is doing him a massive disservice. Like, you're just not helping him. Comparing anybody to Mahomes is not going to help him. But if you just want to pump him up on his own and say, hey, look, he's looked great in practice, we have a great chemistry, that's fine. That's great. That's all good. I do think you reach a point where you pump expectations to a level that you do start to put him in a spot a little bit. Like, what if Tua even has a great year, but he gets off to a slow start the first couple of weeks, right? They have a harder schedule to start the year. Like, I think at some point, let the play speak for itself. But I'll say this, from a media perspective, the beginning of your question, I mean, Tyreek's getting a lot of eyeballs to that podcast. People are listening.
Yeah.
So in that regard, he's been unbelievably successful. Now, I do think he's setting both Tua and the Dolphins up to be a punchline nationally if this thing doesn't start off good. That is the one risk to all this. I mean, we all know how this works, right? You always want to underpromise and overdeliver. Right now, Tyreek is that car salesman outside, like, hey, that car right there behind me, I'm selling it for 20. It's really worth 50. Well, you better hope it is. I mean, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of angry customers. I don't think he's doing anything wrong necessarily. I do think he's hyping it to a point where if it gets off to a slow start, people are going to be screaming based off of the way he's talked about Tua. But again, I also get it from Tyreek Hill's perspective. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, what are you working on over at Fansided, my brother, so folks can check you out?
So obviously Stacking the Box was up every Monday, the column, Tuesday, the podcast on YouTube, noon Eastern, 11 Central. Also, I've got a big feature coming out, might be end of this week, early next. I'll tweet out a bunch. People can look for it on fanside.com. It's on the history of black quarterbacks in the NFL and how difficult it's been to get to the point of being even respected, let alone being able to flourish in the league. I talked to many black quarterbacks in the story, Warren Moon, Doug Williams, James Harris, on down the line. And their insights were invaluable. And just talking about how, it's been a long road, and yet it continues to be in a lot of ways. So I hope people will check that out.
And follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. And, of course, you can catch him inside the Huddle here every week with the redrecover.com Huddle. Matt, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely.
Hey, thanks a lot, O. Take care.
You got it. There you go, Matt Verderame. And we tell you all the time about redrecover.com. It's helped grow my hair back here in the middle, but it's more about pain relief, recovery. When we talk about athletes or weekend warriors, injuries, those kind of things, it happens to all of us. It's happening with your kids right now. They're running around all over the place during the summer, sprains and strains. Go to redrecover.com and do it all natural, folks. Tight end Hayden Hurst of the Cincinnati Bengals uses Red Recover as part of his daily recovery program to optimize performance. On Sundays, my man Sean, okay, he's not Hayden Hurst, but he's got issues with his knees. Bone on bone, he uses the Red Recover wrap on his knees to alleviate the discomfort and the pain. It's ideal for anybody suffering from chronic pain, such as arthritis, like my man, neck, lower back discomfort. Only 15 minutes a day will bring about tremendous relief. You'll feel better without using medication. Red Recover is 100% natural with no side effects. So if you have a loved one that's dealing with some, maybe they have some chronic back issues, a shoulder issue, an old injury, and they get some soreness or something along those lines, go to redrecover.com, find the wrap that's good for you, whether it's for your elbow, shoulders, back, neck, you name it, knees, ankles. They've got the wraps for it. They've even got it for the dogs. Also, it's great for the dogs, for their front shoulders, their back hind. Sometimes they like German Shepherds, certain dogs, golden retrievers, they have problems with their hips. These are things that you can help them recover from and maybe also prevent further damage too on top of all of that. Go to redrecover.com, check out the blogs, the video blogs. They explain it all, and use our code BIG-O. You will get 10% off your order. So if you got somebody who wants to try to grow some of their hair back, or if they're trying to recover from some kind of pain or injury, or just from working out, redrecover.com.